Hey, my name is James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to give you the fastest and the slowest places to sell your property because there are great big differences all over the UK, and there are some areas that even though the market is slow for some, it's not everywhere, but there are other areas where the market is quite slow and you might be a bit cautious if you're going to sell your property there and need to make sure that you price it accordingly. Now, if you're new around here and you haven't done already, we bring you new property content every single day. We talk house prices, interest rates, investing in property and much, much more. And while you're here, you might as well subscribe to the channel to get all of that and make sure you hit the bell notification. And let's get some views on this video by smashing like, tickling like, doing something to that like button. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm and that's really helped the channel grow. So thank you to everybody that does that. So it is a difficult market. I can be quite honest and say that with you. And the market has slowed down significantly over the last few months. You see, the first quarter was really busy. We had reduced stamp duty for that first quarter, and in April that went up, and that meant a lot of transactions got rammed through in the first quarter. In fact, 500,000 transactions were done. But the market had slowed down, and so the next 9 months, we're only expecting to see around another 500,000, but that's spread over 9 months. So that's a big slowdown. So let's look at where the slowest sales are at the moment, and then let's just see where the best are. And so the slowest place to sell a property at the moment, let's put slowest, in fifth is Brighton. And so Brighton is taking, on average, 130 days to sell a property, which is fairly slow. That means that if you're selling in the Brighton or the Hove region, you're going to need to be competitive to sell your property. You're going to need a good agent as well, and you need to be competitive. So that's a consideration there. The next slowest place is Luton. And so Luton is taking a little bit longer, not too much, but still pretty slow. 132 days to sell a property in Luton. So all these areas, you're really going to have to market well. You're going to need a good agent. You're going to need a competitive price. I would make sure that your seller, the agent, that they use all the property portals, that they've got really good photographs and they're good at selling. Next is London. And we know London's slow because we know that the top end of the London market is really falling out at the moment. In fact, we've done videos where we talk about the top end of the London market is down around 29%. We're talking Chelsea, Kensington, Belgravia. These sorts of areas are really struggling. And so in London, it's taking 139 days on average to sell a property. Next, the second worst is Bournemouth. And so Bournemouth, down by the coast, is taking 143 days to sell a property. That isn't great. That is particularly slow. And where the slowest place in the whole of the UK is in Scotland, and that is in Aberdeen. And so in Aberdeen, it's taking 150 days on average to sell a property. But it's not all doom and gloom. If you're selling in those areas, like I said, you've got to be competitive. You've got to make sure you've got a good agent and do everything within your power in order to get that property sold. But where's doing well? Well, there's a few areas that are doing particularly well. And what you'll see, a lot of these here are in expensive areas. And some of these areas that I'm going to show you now are not quite as expensive. And so Newcastle is the fifth fastest area. And so how much difference is that? Well, Newcastle only taking 80 days on average. That's really fast if you think about it, because you're going to get some properties that stick around for ages and some that are flying off the shelf. So Newcastle is still a fairly hot property market. Next, Northampton. So in Northampton, it's taking 77 days in order to sell a property. Not bad. Again, in Scotland, what's going on up there? It's fast moving up in Scotland, unless you're in Aberdeen. Ironically, we've got the slowest place is Aberdeen, but one of the fastest places here is Edinburgh, and that takes on average 71 days in order to sell a property. That's a fast moving market. Next is also in Scotland, and that's Dundee. And Dundee is really moving really fast, and it's taking 59 days in order to sell. That means you're probably getting close to asking price, and those properties are moving quickly in those areas. But what's the fastest moving area at the moment? It's still also in Scotland. It's interesting. You've got the worst place is in Scotland. You've also got the best place is in Scotland, and that's Glasgow. And that sounds like it is a very hot market up in Glasgow at the moment. It only takes 36 days to sell on average a property up in Glasgow. And that's interesting to see. Now, what I see from this data, what stands out to me, is shows that the expensive areas, they're struggling, they're slow. And we've seen that in data. We've heard London house prices are down. We've heard the Southwest house prices are down and transactions are down as well. So that's an area that I think if we re-looked at this list in a few months, I think you'll get a few more areas in the southwest of England that will probably be on the slowest areas here. But the northern areas, so up above Birmingham, some areas there are really strong still, and places like Scotland, apart from Aberdeen, are moving quite quickly. And that shows that investing in the right area, you can still make money, you can still sell property. And if you're in those areas, that's a good sign. If you want to sell, you need to sell, that's positive. And that could be somewhere where you could consider investing yourself in those areas. What about other areas of the UK? What do you think is going on? Because when we talk house prices on the channel, there's always someone in the comments saying, everything is sold where I live and it's moving really fast. And then there's other people saying, the market is so slow, everything's for sale, nothing's moving, we're seeing lots of discounts. Let me know what's going on in your area. I think it'd be really great if you could take a moment to comment and give us an idea. Do smash like, do subscribe, and do make sure you check out all the other content as well on the channel, including this video right here.